The time has come. First of all, I'm back. Feels so good to be back. I can't even begin to tell you how good it has been to be back. And there's a reason, not because I love coming back and, working and stuff. It is because everything that I went through on this trip that I'm finally going to tell you about, my birthday trip back to the motherland. I've been, thinking about this trip not long enough because, I feel like I could have planned out a lot of the details. However, the thing that I couldn't change was the date. I was thinking about making it a birthday trip, so obviously I can't move my birthday. But the thing I couldn't control is the weather during my birthday, and that's a big chunk of what happened on my trip. But let me just tell you this. My goal for this trip was to revisit my childhood memories and just to have like a very personal throwback journey. Did I accomplish that goal? Yeah, to a certain extent, but I also, you could say, reached another level of nirvana thanks to everything else that accompanied this goal. But before I get started, this is a great break from just editing. I've been just editing this weekend because I had made a promise. Which, in retrospect, sometimes maybe you should think twice before making a promise. You want to take into account of how feasible it is to make it into a reality. But the promise has already been made, and we're not going to go back on our words because we're not losers. So I have to squeeze out. I have to birth a 12. Was it 12-minute or 15? I forgot. I think it's the longest video yet. And the most complex idea yet I have concocted. Hi, I'm dying. That's my phone. What? What is this comedic effect? Listen, it has been happening to me all week. So on Monday was my birthday, and then on like 4 days after is my childhood best friend's birthday, which we celebrated together. And so last week, I hope I talked about it last time. If not, I'm telling you now. I was singing her happy birthday over freaking voice memo because these days I've been, giving into the appeal of voice memos. Something about actually being able to hear someone else's voice better than reading just plain cold words, characters over text messages. But the thing is, while you're recording a voice memo, like all the other sounds are still enabled. So if I get a text message, I'll get a text tone. If I get anything else, like you'll just hear it all. And it was like I was in the middle of me singing to her, all these text tones just started like happening as if it was like a comedic effect, which it wasn't supposed to be, but it just panned out perfectly, and so did my freaking phone. So I have this automation on my phone where I'm trying to preserve my battery health. I understand that, battery is a perishable and it's not going to remain at its peak performance forever. So I've read one of the things is you should charge it before it actually dies. And I have this bad habit of letting things die. So I have made this automation for it to give me this cue. It says, "Hi, I'm dying," whenever it hits 19% on my phone. So I remember when I'm teaching on late days in my previous company, because we go up to like 10 p.m. Sometimes in the middle of class, I'll just go, "Hi, I'm dying," and my students are like, "Teacher, what is that?" And I'm like, "It's my phone." So next chapter, let's move on to the listening section. But yeah, this happens sometimes, and I forget about it. And when it does, it's my life is a movie, and I'm supposed to be the main character, but somehow I'm feeling like the second best. Anyways, grab something to hydrate yourself with. I just had some oyster mushrooms, and I have my water and liquid IV. I'm ready to spill. I am. So buckle up. It's a doozy, as always. Have you ever heard of the Murphy's Law? I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it is where anything that could go wrong will go wrong. And funny enough, that's actually one of the books that I purchased from this trip. It was like someone else's. No, let me start with a confession. I bought that book. One is because I was intrigued by the writing, but wait, what's before one? Zero? Okay. The first and foremost reason why is because I really like the cover. I'm a sucker for packaging. So, great design, great book design, plus great literature. Me, swiping my credit card and purchasing it. Anyways, but this birthday trip back to my hometown. So, my hometown is in Guangzhou or Canton, whichever way you know the city by. And if you didn't, now you know. It's a southern city, metropolitan city in China, and it has a special place in my heart because I immigrated from Guangzhou to Austin when I was 12. But I haven't been able to go back since the panorama, because naturally the entire country was on lockdown, and we weren't able to visit families for quite a while as well. And last year, my mom went. So both of us made this 10-year visa together. So I'm thinking, listen, if she can go, that means I can go. But I forgot the fact that, I didn't take into account that my visa was on my old passport and I had recently renewed my passport last year. So I thought, what are the chances that if I can't use my old passport and the old visa on that passport, which wouldn't make any sense, but my brain was braining. I just might be screwed at immigration, or I also looked up, there's another way that you can stay in China without a visa. It's like the 72 hours or 144 visa-free visa. So I'm thinking, okay, I have plan A and I have plan B, so let's just do it. Let's just do this trip. I had requested for this PTO back in March. And to be honest, it's a little bit late because at my new company, the policy is you should be requesting vacations 8 weeks in advance because, that takes into account of needing to find like a substitute for your classes and cover all these other grounds. But luckily, on the days that I requested off, I didn't have any classes to teach, so they didn't need to go through the trouble of finding me a substitute and covering all these other grounds. So I went with it. I'm like, you know what? Let me just try it. If I can get those dates off, I'm gonna get those dates off. So basically, I got Friday, Saturday, and Monday off. Monday was my birthday, so I left Seoul April 5th. And then I came back on my birthday, April 8th. So the day before, was it the day before? I think it was on Wednesday. Wednesday evening was the day that I went and met my childhood best friend. She was in town for a concert, very cute. But also, while she was here, she did some work as well. So that night we met at this like Korean barbecue place. We talked and talked and talked. I love long nights like this where you just bond with your closer circle, and I mean that's one of the top traits I have as my strength, thanks to my Strength Finder test. My life now revolves around that test, and to be honest, it actually did really help me process how like my reactions to certain situations and how I approach things. So, I think it was actually money well spent. But that's not the point of this conversation. So we were talking, and then she actually brought a cake with her. That was so cute. So we ended up saying happy birthday to each other, and then we cut the cakes. And then we ate it at the restaurant. And so we cut the cake and then we put it in a bowl, like a plastic bowl. So it looks ridiculous, but I think it's a memory that I'm going to treasure for a long, long time. So that was a hectic Wednesday. The next day, Thursday, I teach. So that whole day was already hectic. And I haven't packed yet. I haven't packed yet. So on Wednesday night, I try to pack as much as I could. Then Thursday night, I try to get out on time. But, my time tends to roll over. So I got home. I did like the final check on my, passport, like any written documents that I needed. I make sure I have everything. I have my itinerary printed. I got, medicine, because of course, like, any stomach medicine, any cold medicine, painkiller, travel adapter, and what else did I bring? My air tag. I just leave my air tag in my luggage now, because the thing, I wish air tags work in Korea, but it doesn't. So whenever I go travel, I bought it for the purpose of the Hong Kong trip. And the magic with air tags and all these other like find location services with Apple is that I have the magnetic. Well, I can't show you. First of all, you can't see it. Secondly, you can't hear it because it's on my bed, away from me, upstairs. It's like if I detach it, it would tell me within 1 minute when was the last seen location, since it was attached to the wallet. And but in Korea, that service is disabled. I forgot. I looked into it, but it was like some sort of conflict between probably I want to say most likely Samsung, but they cannot disclose like the exact location of things. So I can't really use AirTags here. I can't really rely on Find My's here. But I could use it anywhere else, even in China. So I got that in my luggage. What else did I have? I have, the toiletries, clothes. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. My tripod, my mini tripod, external battery, XYZ. Yeah, that's it. So I locked it up. I laid out my clothes. I'm like, okay, this is the game plan. My flight is at 8:50. Okay, my 8:50 flight. So if you do a little girl math, well, actually, slap on a little Asian math. I have to be there at least 2 hours before because, like going through TSA, well, it's not TSA, but going through security, going through checking in, it's going to take a while. If there's a lot of people, I have to take that into account. So I'm like, okay, well, if my flight is at 8:50, I'm probably boarding around like 8, which means I have to be there by 6. Now, my commute from here to there, if I'm not taking a taxi, it's about like an hour and something-ish. So I'm doing this math and I'm rounding up and down. That means I have to leave here at 4:20, only because the first bus that leaves my bus stop is at 4:20. And they don't have an exact schedule. So sometimes they'll leave in like 15 minutes interval, but it's not really 15 minutes interval. So I'm like, okay, I have to get on the 421 because the airport express that I will transfer to only comes every 45 minutes. So if I miss it, I'm practically screwed. So at this point, it's about like 2 a.m. in the morning because I love to overthink and I take more time than I actually need it while I overthink. Something I'm trying to fix and I'm trying. We're making baby progress. So I go to bed. I'm like, should I go to bed like sitting up so that I can wake up easier? Should I like leave all the lights on so I can wake up easier? While I was contemplating, I fell asleep. And I did have my alarm set up, but I don't remember if I had a dream or it was just like a tranquil state of mind amidst all the chaos. But I woke up oddly in a very calm state. And I'm like, why do I feel this peaceful? That doesn't sound right. I should be scrambling because technically I only had like 2 hours of sleep, right? So I look at my clock. Guess what time it is. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. This feels like Dora. I was supposed to get up at 4:20. I woke up. No, I was supposed to leave at 4:20. I woke up at 4:45. So So when I woke up, I had like 0.1 second of, just processing time. And then the next was like, oh God, I need to leave. So I got up, scrambled, absolutely scrambled, just slap on my clothes, wore my shoes, and then like, I need to call a taxi as soon as possible. I was a little bit afraid that because it was in the wee hours of the night, we didn't have any taxis around. I don't live in like the middle of Seoul, so my area is a bit like out of the city. Luckily, someone picked me up, and it was a really nice cab. I try not to fall asleep on the taxi, but I did. But the taxi ride was, only 45 minutes or an hour, comparing to like an hour and 45 minutes. So I arrived at 6. So I wasn't really behind on my schedule. So then I was like, okay, we got here. It's okay, we got here. So I went to the counter and I was flying out with China Eastern. Remember that name, China Eastern, okay? It's pertinent to the story. And I just see all these people there. I'm like, wow, you guys are kind of early. And all of them were wearing like golf apparels. And then they have like all these like giant oversized bags of like golf clubs and stuff. So I was thinking, oh, maybe they're flying out for like a, I don't know, competition. And I was just kind of like sandwiched between because I'm just like a regular traveler, which will come back and bite me in the butt later, but we're not there yet, so I'm not even going to get there yet. So I get to the counter and the lady asked me, do you have a visa? And I said, well, because she was looking at my passport. It's like, it's in my old passport. And then she said, let me see it. So I gave it to her. She's comparing them, doing her thing. And then she's like, okay. She gave it back to me. And she told me, I checked my luggage and she told me where I need to pick it up, which I am flying out. Well, to go to Guangzhou, I'm first stopping by Qingdao. If you're familiar with beer, I guess Qingdao beer, Qingdao Pijiu is from Qingdao. Anyways, so I'm stopping by Qingdao, and then I fly from Qingdao to Guangzhou. And then on the way back, it's a different route, but I'll tell you about that later. You don't need to remember that. So I'm like, okay, cool. I will pick it up in Qingdao, and then we'll just go from there. Julie. So I get on this flight. Nothing goes wrong on this flight. I'm eternally grateful because I don't even know what's coming. Julie, you did not know what was coming. I get to Qingdao and I go through immigration. So as I said before, I'm sandwiched between these giant groups of just like golf people. I'm just gonna call them golf people. And they are taking, oh my gosh, the Chinese immigration. I don't know if it's just Chinese immigration or the fact that like these golf people are all on like a singular visa or what is going on. It took so long to get through immigration. At first, I was looking at my layover time and I'm like, I have enough time. It's like 1.5 hours or something like, yeah, 1.5 hours. Come on now. Like I could eat something. I could do all these things. But immigration took so long, I was practically running to my next gate. I was like, I need to go. So finally made it out of immigration. I was in Qingdao just moving around, and the very first thing that I did was to go to a bookstore. As I've said last time, I'm incredibly obsessed with the Netflix adaptation called Three Body Problem. Three Body Problem is actually a sci-fi novel from China. So one of my goals was to buy that physical book, at least like part 1. I'll decide if I want to buy part 2 and part 3 later. So the first thing I did, like straight out of the freaking gates, I think I got out at around 10ish, almost 11. My flight was supposed to be, no, let me not even tell you when it was supposed to be out. Anyways, so I got out, I found this bookstore like right out the exit. I'm like, what? So I walked inside And then I haven't been to China in a long time, so I have no sense of how they, customer service work. But this dude was his face stoic, like, welcome to this bookstore, blah 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 blah. Let me know if you need anything. I'm like, okay, thanks. Do you guys have three body? And then it's like, yes, over here. So I looked, and it was actually like a new edition. So the package. When I tell you I'm a sucker for packaging, I'm a sucker for packaging. I looked at it. I was like, yes, I'm gonna get this one. And this was the single best decision I've ever made that entire morning. Because this book saves me from hours of boredom. Hours of boredom. Okay? But we're not there yet. So after I get this book, I'm like, okay, I need to actually get my priorities straight, which is exchanging my currency. Since I was late to the airport, I didn't really get to exchange my currencies at Incheon. So I thought, like they have exchanging plays anywhere, and especially in airports, I should be fine. So I go to the airport, the counter, and then she's like, hi, how can I help you? Right? And I'm like, well, I want to exchange Korean won to Chinese yuan. Yen. Wait, is it yen or is it yen? It's Japanese yen, but Chinese yuan. Okay, good. Whew. I used to be Chinese, I swear. So she's like, how much? And I told her the amount. And she said, okay, I need your ID. And I said, is passport okay? She said, no, I need an ID. And I'm thinking, I don't have a Chinese ID. So I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm screwed. And then right next to that exchanging place, there are these three dudes. Already red flags, okay? Three dudes pushing like one of those like airport luggage carts. And on top of the carts, he had like a duffel bag with wads of cash. Like you can see the cash inside. Red flag number 2, right? So I'm over there. And when I walked past them, they were like, hey, young lady. I don't know how to translate that, so I'm just going to say young lady. They're like, hey, young lady, are you going to change cash? And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't really entertain them, and I just went straight to the counter because I'm not insane. I understand that is so sketchy, okay? But the counter lady rejected me, which I kind of found out the reason why later on is because she probably assumed that I was a Chinese citizen, so that's why I needed a Chinese ID, because everything in China is just interwoven together to the T. Like everything is connected to WeChat. Everything, like you pay with the WeChat. Your wallet's with the WeChat. Your like credits and stuff is with WeChat. So of course they would ask for my ID, but I didn't have that. However, I should have told her that I was a foreigner and I had a foreign passport. There's no way for me to acquire an ID. Then I could have probably went through her, the reliable route instead. Well, listen, after you get rejected, you're kind of desperate. Especially at the moment, I was kind of desperate because I was like, where else am I going to exchange my currencies? And I need it before I land. Or so I'd assumed. So I did my little walk of shame back to that cart with the dude and the duffel bags and wads of cash. So he's like, young lady, how much you trying to exchange? And I told him the amount, and he's like, okay, how much does she, the counter lady, give you? And I told him the number, and he's like, okay, how about I give you this amount? So it's like a little bit higher. And I was like, cool, because I mean, what other choices I have? A lot, but at the moment, 0. So I gave him the money, and then as I'm giving it to him, I'm just having this flashback. He's like, are you going to regret this? Like, are these fake cash? What if you can't use all of them? Then you lose your money. But at the time, it's like I was having an out-of-body experience, and I couldn't stop the train wreck. So I hand him my cash, he hands him mine, and I'm looking at these like fresh bills. I was like, wow, they're all really new. And he's like, uh-huh. No, I was like, okay. So I asked him, do you have envelope. And he goes, no, but you can go back and ask from the counter lady. And I was like, he's like, no, it's okay, just go on. So I went and I did my little walk of shame 2.0 back to the counter lady and I asked, can I have an envelope? And she's like, okay. So she gave me an envelope. I put my cash inside, put it back in my backpack. I took my 3-body sci-fi physical book and I took my carry-on luggage and I just rolled my way into the gates. So I didn't have enough time to eat, but I did feel a little bit hungry. So I went to 7-Eleven and I got myself this like Pocky sticks and some milk tea, which, oh my gosh, motherland milk tea hits different. Even though if it's just like convenience store milk tea, the one I got was like oat milk tea. Oh my gosh. I miss her so much. Like I don't even remember the name. I should have taken a picture. It was short-lived, but I got that and I sat down and I started reading. I'm supposed to board around 1 p.m. Okay? But I'm also well aware of the weather conditions in Guangzhou because lo and behold, for the duration of my trip from April 5th all the way to April 8th, it's gonna be raining. So before I went there, I was already a little bit concerned, but I try to plan out my days as, to the best of my abilities. And I'm like, I know it's going to be rain and we'll just have to roll with the punches and see, like, do as much as we can. I had not told anybody about my trip. Well, except my childhood best friend, because I met her on Wednesday, and I was kind of debating if I wanted to tell her, but in the end, I told her. She wasn't going to be in Guangzhou. She was, working in Beijing. So I was like, she's like, okay, no worries. I'm not going to tell my mom. I'm not going to tell our family friends, because we grew up together. We celebrated almost every birthday together with her family and our family friends together, because I just really wanted to have time for myself to, jog down memory lane and relive those moments. Because I know if I had told other people that I was going, my time would have been, divided, and I wouldn't be able to spend the time in ways that I wanted to when I went home alone for the first time, which that was also, it might not sound like a big deal to you, but I haven't really solo traveled. Excuse me. Liquid IV. What you got in there? It that was my stomach too. What's going on? At least I'm alive, hey. So I was aware that it was raining. But I had told only one of my elementary school friend that I was going back, because I asked him and I was like, hey Brian, are you still in Guangzhou? And he's like, yeah, I am. And I asked him, would you be interested to grab some dim sum on, like, when did I say? On the 5th, like the day that I arrived, which is Friday. And then he's like, oh, like, are you coming back? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how long are you staying? I was like, I fly out on Monday. And he said, I think before I had mentioned that I might go home. And then he said, okay, let me know when you book your ticket. So I told him when I booked my ticket. So it's like, okay, that weekend is actually Qingmingjie, which is like, I don't know how to translate it. It's almost like what they do here during Chuseok, where you like visit your ancestors and then you like go to the grave and do all kinds of stuff. So he's like, oh, it's actually that weekend. So I might have to go to the mountains and do like all kinds of family stuff. So I don't know if I could pick you up for sure, but I'm going to try. I said, it's okay. Like, we can meet in the city, and we're going to meet in the city anyways. It's no big deal. But that day he was like, okay, I'm gonna come pick you up. When is your flight? What's your flight number? So I gave him my flight number, and we were just kind of like chatting back and forth. And he sent me a picture of this giant gray cloud. And he's like, how do I translate this? It's like the big great cloud is waiting for you. It's like, please don't say that. And then eventually the messages progress to, it is currently thundering in Guangzhou. So Guangzhou was fully shrouded by a thunderstorm. And as a result, China Eastern had delayed their flights. Understandably so. Okay? So instead of flying out at 1, it has been delayed. But they didn't tell us the delay time. So I was like, okay, cool. I was eating my pocky stick, drinking my freaking oat milk tea, and reading my 3-body book. Life is good, right? I'm going back to China. I'm going back to motherland. 1 hour passed. Occasionally you'll get this ding dong. China Eastern Airline MU, I don't freaking know, 5051, flying to Guangzhou. The flight has been delayed due to weather condition. We will please stick around and blah blah blah. We'll notify you when like adjust the time, whatever. I'm like, okay. 1 hour go by. 2 hour goes by. Then 3. Then 4. Then 5. That's my stomach. Then 6. Then 7. 7. 7 hours. 7 hours, my dude. I can't even express the trauma. That's not even the worst part. You know what the worst part is? The worst part is that the flight number, well, okay, there are many worst parts. 1, my eSIMs absolutely suck, excuse my language, suck ass in China. I bought this eSIM from Airlo? I forgot, but that's the same place I bought my eSIM for Hong Kong. It like cuts in and out. I don't know why. I bought more than enough gigabytes because I was afraid that I was gonna get stranded, and I like to over prepare, whatever. So it would like cut off, and sometimes I couldn't connect. And in order to connect to the Wi-Fi from like in Chinese airports, I needed a phone number, and my phone, I did not have a Chinese phone number, and my Korean ones were not responding. So I was like, I try my best to update Brian with my ETA, and I've told him like he's aware that it's delayed, but he wasn't aware like the delay hasn't lifted because on his app there was a new like delayed time, and he had like it was an updated time on his end, but on my end there were no time, like we did not know when we were gonna leave, and at this point they've given us like 2 meals. So, and I'm also halfway through 3-body problem book. So I'm like, should I just go back to the bookstore and get like part 2 while I'm at it? Because I think in this rate, I'm gonna finish this book before I could actually leave Qingdao. So Brian, bless his heart, he had driven in the storm. He had driven in the storm to the airport before I had even left Qingdao. So technically, he sent me, I don't have my phone, damn it, but he literally, I was still sitting at the gate, and he sent me a message. He's like, I'm by exit E. You'll be able to see me as soon as I land. And I was like, Brian, I'm so sorry, but I'm still in Qingdao. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, my flight has never, because I was gonna tell him, you know, when my new time is, right, naturally. But his app had told him that, given him an updated time, so he went thinking that my flight has taken off and I wasn't able to text him before I took off. So he was at the Guangzhou airport and I haven't left yet. I think that was like hour 4 or hour 5. No, it was earlier than that. Because I was supposed to arrive at like 4 p.m. in Guangzhou. And then the delay, like, guess the updated delay time that showed on his part was 5. Somewhere around like 5 or 6, right? It takes about 3 hours to fly from Qingdao to Guangzhou. So imagine if my flight was delayed 7 hours. What's 7 plus 3? So technically, he waited like almost 7 hours with me at the Guangzhou airport too. And I felt so bad. I felt so bad. I literally landed in Guangzhou at 12 midnight. Midnight. I was supposed to leave. I was supposed to get there at 4. So like 6 hours of, 5 to 6 hours. No, 7 hours of me waiting. 6 to 5 hours of him waiting at the airport. We were collectively going insane. And I was just like, I'm so, so sorry. Like you don't have to wait there for me. That's such a ridiculously long time. I could just meet you in the city. And he said something that was kind of like the motto for this entire trip. He said in Chinese, 来都来了嘛. Like, we're already here. I've already came here. So might as well. And that was our attitude for this whole trip. He's like, we're already here. Like, come on, 来都来了嘛. So he was just waiting there. And I was like, I'm getting a little hungry. I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and grab some snack. He's like, sounds like a good idea. I think I'm going to go get some snacks too. So he waited at the airport. And then finally at 12, I landed. And lo and behold, he was at exit E. And I saw him right away. It's crazy because I have not seen him since we were in 6th grade. So I don't know about wherever you're from, but in the States, it's definitely not like that. But in China, you kind of, when you go to elementary school, you get placed in this class. So it's like year 1 or grade 1, class 1, grade 1, class 2, like this. I was in like the class 1. And you stay with that class unless if something happens. You stay with that class all the way till 6th grade. So he wasn't in like class 1 originally, but he transferred in some time along. But I've known him for like, give or take 6 years. And we grew up together in our formative years. So I guess that bond was really like it was really strong. Because listen, I don't know about you, but if someone waited for you for 6 hours at an airport, that's a true homie. Like, I'm eternally grateful for him, and I'm never shut up about that. Like, that's just admirable. But I saw him as like right away. I knew it was him, and he was like his on his phone. It's kind of like he's like, oh, just in case if you didn't know, like if you didn't recognize me, like I had your WeChat profile pulled up on my phone. He was gonna hold it because you know how at arrivals people hold like papers, like welcoming Mr. I don't know Smith, and he was like, yeah, I had this ready. I was like, no, I recognized him right away, and he drove me back to my hotel, and it was nighttime, plus it was rain, so he was actually a little bit nervous. He was like, I haven't really driven that much. And I'm like, thank you so much for doing this. And we survived. And by the time we got to our hotel, it was about like 1. And he said, you must be hungry. So he found this like it's not night market, but it's kind of like night food, yashik, or what's the word in English? Not sure. But like kind of like a midnight spot. And we went there and we sat, we ate and we chatted a bit. And he was like, so tomorrow, what do you want to do tomorrow? I could spend a day with you tomorrow, but I can't on Sunday because it's a holiday weekend, so I have to go back and work on Sunday. I was like, no, you don't have to like spend your Saturday with me, especially if you're gonna work on Sunday, right? I'll just go around and stuff. He's like, no, let me. I could take us back to where our old schools are, because I had told him where I kind of wanted to visit. I wanted to visit our old school, just like a lot of the places I've had a lot of memories that I hold dear, where my dad used to work, the sports arenas, the alleyways that I used to roam around in when I was a kid. the park. I think that's it. The river, the Pearl River. Where else? Where else? I think, yeah. There were other activities that I wanted to do as well, and I had planned on doing them alone because I was going to film. And if I was with anyone else, I had told you before, I have this bad habit of like I get too focused on my accomplishing what I want. I think this is the only area where I sound like I almost say alcoholic. Workaholic is when I'm, I guess, in the zone. Like it's hard for me to be aware of the people I'm with. Trying to ease off of that a bit, but it's still a work in progress. So I told him, like I feel like I won't be able to, be fully present with you as well if you had gone with me. But also you're like taking your time out of your weekend. You already given me enough time, waiting at the airport and stuff. He's like, no. Let me. I'm curious about like how you go about your filming and stuff, like your vlog, which I was surprised that he was watching my vlog. He's like, I think I know a few places that you might enjoy too, from what I've observed. So I haven't seen him since we were kids, since like the day I was leaving. Actually, he told me, he was like, the last time I saw you was when you were outside the principal office waiting for your mom, gathering like paperwork inside, and I had passed behind you, and that was the last time we I guess shared a moment face to face. We did talk sporadically here and there when we got older, especially he went to like Beijing to for studies, and eventually he went abroad to Italy to study. So when he was preparing to go abroad, he had reach out to me and asking me, how did you deal with immigrating to another place, assimilating to another culture and all this stuff. And I had spoken to him during that time and here and there afterwards, so we weren't complete strangers, but still it was very heartwarming to see and to know that they've kept up with you and whatever you were doing, and that like all these kind gestures that he was extending to me. So I was like, cool, when do you want to wake up or meet up tomorrow? I said, well, usually I wake up at 7, and I was planning on doing the same too for this trip because, like my time here is short, it's limited. So I want to make the most out of what I could. And he said, but it's gonna like, it was gonna rain, but it was gonna rain pretty hard. But I think the rain will subside around like 10. So how about we meet at 10? And then I'll like take you around. I was like, cool, sounds good. So he dropped me off again at my hotel, and then he went back. And I was unpacking and then showering and just unwinding. And oh my gosh, it's been such a crazy day, right? All the traveling and then the waiting and the delay, and just I felt so overstimulated. But at this point, I had hoped and prayed that the amount of rain I was witnessing, which at the time wasn't a lot. Like at night, it was raining, but it wasn't like thundering. And as I was like, if it's gonna be like this kind of rain, we're fine. We're Gucci. We're Prada. And I went to sleep at around 4. I had set up an alarm to wake up at 7, but it was not possible. My body was like, yeah, right. And I woke up at around 8, which is not bad. So I got up, and actually, I need to refer back to my I need to refer back to my journal, because the amount of just crap that had unfolded was just unbelievable. Actually, what else did I? Okay, before I get started, let me paint you a picture. Guangzhou is a pretty humid and rainy city at its best. It's like the Seattle of China. So at the time when I first landed, I was in a good mood, right? And I was like, this is a fitting welcome from Guangzhou. Like the humidity, the rain, sounds like Guangzhou. Like this is their signature weather. So it was kind of like a taste of home, I guess. But the degree of said rain was a little out of hand. I woke up at 8, and that day on my agenda, day one, was I wanted to eat like the rice rolls. And I had looked up on my map like the areas around me because it's like a pretty signature Guangzhou dish, so it's not hard to find. And I was like, okay, they open at 7. I woke up at 8, so I'm gonna head there around like 9-ish, I guess, and this should be okay. So I got ready, and I didn't have an umbrella, so I went to literally the convenience store is called C Store. So I went to C Store, and I got an umbrella, and I walked to this breakfast store. I ordered myself a milk tea, rice. I couldn't order rice roll because there were so many takeout queues ahead of me. They said it's gonna take a while. So I was like, okay, I think what I got instead was, what did I get that day? I get wonton noodle soup. Wait, wonton soup. No, wonton noodles. Yes. And a milk tea, which was kind of a mistake. It was okay. I was just happy to have motherland food, hometown food. So I was just eating and people watching, and lo and behold, it started. Well, it was raining on my way there, but it was drizzling. Well, in a matter of half an hour, it started storming. When I woke up in the morning, so in my hotel, there's this like really big, no, like it was just a really big window. And first of all, got really lucky. I think they upgraded my suite, so it was a lot more spacious. But the overall layout was the same. But I have this like really nice view of the city, and I opened my curtains. I thought I had woken up in the afternoon. It was so like gloomy, but when I finished breakfast, it was fully like evening. It was so dark, as if the sky was angry. And I heard it like it was thundering. And I'm just sitting outside. Like I paid and I left outside. I was just sitting on the stools and looking at the sky. I'm like, is that how it's gonna be? But I wasn't gonna let rain stop me, because listen, if I fly out all the way over here, if I have to walk through water, so be it. But I should not have thought about that, because it's like I set game on and the game was really on, and the difficulty level that I was not prepared for. So in my journal, I write down each day what I was gonna do, what are my objectives, and how's the weather condition. For Guangzhou day 1, that was like my traveling day, right? So I wrote traveling, dinner with Brian. I wanted to have a night stroll because I was supposed to land at 4 p.m. That didn't happen because I landed at midnight. I was supposed to go to 7-Eleven, but that didn't happen because I was really tired. I was supposed to get milk tea, but that didn't happen. So that was day 1. Day 2, Guangzhou day 2, objective. Visiting new places, like the new areas in Guangzhou. Weather, humid ass, stormy, thundering ass. Like, there's no better way to describe the weather. I have this video of, no, I'm not even there yet. So I get out of the breakfast place, and yesterday over dinner, we were talking about getting a external battery, because while we were waiting, he took out his external battery and he was like, "Do you need to charge your phone?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm okay. I have this one that I have." And I was showing him, but like it doesn't fit really well because of the camera bump. He was like, "Oh, you I think there's like Xiaomi has one." So Xiaomi is this brand in China that they make basically everything. Like there's no other, excuse me, no other way around it. They make everything. Appliances, phones. Excuse me, why am I burping? Why am I burping? And all these other stuff. He's like, "Oh, they have this one that also functions as a stand. I think it might be useful for you." And I was looking at it and I was like, "Ooh, okay. Do they have a physical store?" He's like, "Yeah, there should be one near you." So after breakfast, my goal was to go to the Xiaomi physical store, see it for myself, see if it fits well with my camera bump. And if it does, I would buy it. I looked it up on foot, about like 26 minutes. I'm like, not bad. And I was going to opt for walking anyways, because, I just want to soak in all the sceneries around me, the noises, the people, the cars. I just want to be a resident. I just want to feel like a resident again. I just want to be transported back into time. So I was walking. I was wearing t-shirt and jeans. One thing about jeans or any fabric in general is that once it's soaked, the water will naturally climb up the fabric because, there's just, I forgot what it's called, but it's just what it does. Physics. My pants was like a straw that just soaked up all the rainwater all the way to my calf, like middle, like upper half of my calf. That's how big the rain is. The rain was so hard. They were puddles. Not like cute puddles that you like step into like as if you're in the movie scenes. No, they were like, it was like those rides in the amusement park where you're in that log and it goes and then the water goes. That's like I couldn't even see the asphalt pavement. I just see water. I could put a koi fish in there. It could, like, I don't know, swim all the way to Qingdao faster than I ever ride with plane. I have this video that I had taken of just like what is that called? On the road, you have that, I know what it's called in Chinese. I just forgot what it's called. But that very heavy circular lid that leads to the sewage where it's supposed to, like, water's supposed to go down. I know there's a name in English. I just really can't remember it. But I had walked by one of them and that lid was flipped open and water was just gushing in, but it couldn't even like absorb all of it. It was just like gargling. It was struggling. Hold on. I'm gonna go upstairs. I'm gonna go get my phone and I'm gonna show you that video. Just have a little bit of a quiet time without me. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna cut it. Should I cut it or should I just... No, I'm gonna... This is a fully submersive experience. Where's my phone? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Luckily I ordered my groceries before 12. So I could have it delivered in the morning tomorrow. Let me see. Okay, we're back. So before I encountered that, while we're at it, let me just look up what is it called in English? Is it a sewage lid? No, there's no way. 沙井盖. A manhole cover. Julie, come on now. A manhole cover. Yes. Okay, a manhole cover. But I was on my way to the Xiaomi store, right? Halfway there. Literally halfway there, right? The storm was fully storming. And it went from like amateur to like legendary level. You know how when physics, okay, gravity. When it rains, the raindrops are falling vertically. Yeah? Well, that day, the raindrops were like giving me an acute angle. It was like a freaking 45 degree. So it doesn't matter if I have an umbrella, I'm bound to be soaked. And it was so bad. I got a text message from my elementary friend. He was like, it's kind of dangerous to go out right now. So let's wait maybe like 30 minutes after 10. At this point, it was like 9, right? So let's wait and see if it's safer to go out. And I was like, I texted him, I'm like, actually, I'm walking. He was like, you what? I'm like, I'm walking to the Xiaomi store. He was like, what the heck? So halfway there, and it picks up, right? So I'm debating. I'm in this dilemma of, do I go back home because it's dangerous? Or do I keep going like a maniac? I kept going like a maniac. So when I got to the mall, I looked like a wet duck and I sounded like a rubber duck as well. Like my shoes was just like, so I walk in, try to shake off as much water as I could. I go to the Xiaomi store. I found my battery pack. Thankfully, oh, I have it right here actually. It has this little like stand feature, which it was not the thing that attracted me to this. Oh, thanks. I forgot. Yeah, might as well charge it because my phone's dying. But I really liked it. And then originally online, I saw the color was white or ivory. But when I went there, they actually had like a blue, like a very, very, a hint of slight, but they call it like midnight blue or something like that. It's actually, it looks white, but with tints of blue. So I got it, and then I was about to walk out to the rain, and then I met my good old manhole friend. Where is it? I'm gonna find it, and you're just gonna hear it. Oh my gosh, here we go. Here we freaking go. Well, here is actually, this is the sound of the breakfast place. I like to record like snippets of just sounds and re-listen to them later to imagine if I was in that place again. Here's the regular rain. Oh. This was me on the streets. Do you hear that rain on my umbrella? It's like, it was supposed to hail that day. I didn't know, but it was supposed to hail that day. But that's not even a manhole. Let me find a freaking manhole. Oh my gosh. Right here. I think I was probably talking to manhole. Oh, right here. Does that not sound like a waterfall? Because it is a waterfall. I wish I could insert like video clips, but if you had asked me how my vacation is going, that's exactly how it was going. It was going to shite. So I went back until it was time to meet with Brian. And I think we went to so many different places. Bless his heart, he was navigating. I was just kind of like a passenger princess. But I think that day, what was I able to do? We went back to our old school. He had told me to bring my passport along because maybe we'll be able to go inside and like look around. But I had even forgotten that our elementary school moved. So it was in this older side of town, but then it got kind of like absorbed into like this other group of schools, and then we moved to another area, and then that was the school that we stayed with until we were like 6th grade. So we went back to those places, and then we kind of like, you know, like shared tidbits of, oh, remember this, remember that. And just like, I remember one thing we said a lot was, wow, this road feels so short now. Like the alleyways feel so narrow now. Because when you're a kid, your perspective is different, and you know the walls feel higher and the roads felt longer. But now we're seeing it as from like an adult perspective. It was just like, those were the days. Those were the days. So we went there, and then we also went through this area that had been renovated. So like they kept most of the old buildings, but like you could just see that it's not necessarily gentrified, but it's just changed. It's remodeled. Everything's like hip now, and we've lost a lot of like the old elements of those like neighborhoods, and that made me feel a little bit sad. But it's bound to happen. We had dim sum finally. That was one of my goals. So we had dim sum, and then we had a really good conversation about like the differences in, well, first of all, we talked about psychology. He was interested in psychology, and then we were kind of talking about the difference in psychology and between, you know, in mainland and also abroad. Since I was here before, but then I left, so now my mindset of things are very different, especially when it comes to like risks assessment. Because when we are talking about our life view, you can see this difference. And then he was like, "Man, you make me feel like I'm not living," and I was like, "Well, not necessarily so. Like, do you have this do you have this desire to go back and try it in Italy, or do you want to like venture out and try these different things?" And he's like, like I understand where you're coming from, because when you get to when you left here at grade 6 and then you went out, it's like your perspective changed, and your perception of the world and life has been influenced differently. But I feel like I mostly grew up, him mostly grew up in the state, in mainland. Wow, Julie, speak. So like the way we do risk assessment is different. For me, it's like I don't want to waste any more time. I want to live life the way I want it. For him, it's more like a safety over other things, and he value like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like having a safety net, or doing whatever I'm doing right now is fine with me. So that was a very interesting conversation, because I hadn't thought of it that way, of how much of a difference it had changed on my perception of risks. Because I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself fully 100% like a foreigner, because like my formative years were spent here. So a lot of my values, a lot of how I perceive things, how I go about things are still very like, what the heck? Where did that pepper flake come from? I think it's from the oyster mushroom, because I added some Vietnamese pepper in there. But it's like my willingness to take a gamble on myself is very Western influenced. So that was interesting. Then after dim sum, we went to some other place. He's like, like after seeing your vlogs and after talking to you and seeing the things that you're carrying, I think you will like these next places that I'll show you. So he took me to a bookstore, because I had told him I kind of wanted to buy like certain books. I had a list of books that I wanted to see if I was able to get it here while I was there. And then while we were there, we had I bought like my souvenirs, kind of. I bought postcards. These days I'm kind of into postcards. So got some of those. They were like long postcards, and it was like illustrated. It was like an illustration of the old towns, but it was only like, it wasn't monotone, but it only used two colors, so like black and like orange, which which is just my type. So then we also got some books. He had recommended me this other book that he read that he found really insightful. Actually, he gifted to me at the end, and I also bought more books on my own the next day. Then we had dinner one last time. We went to this other stationery store. He's like, here it is, and he was right. I was in heaven. I had actually gotten this teapot. I didn't expect myself getting a teapot ever, and I had wanted to get something that represented Guangzhou. And my first thought was the Starbucks City Series mugs, because that was what I bought from Starbucks from Austin, and that mug I keep next to my desk at work. And I thought, oh, maybe I should get like a Guangzhou one and keep it at home. But to be honest, the prints are just like so. And other than the graphics printed on it, I didn't feel like a deeper connection to the roots of what and who and what Guangzhou represented to me. Ooh, I said that really weirdly. But then that teapot, it's like it comes with 4 little teacups and it's travel size. You can put it in it had a carrier and it was like ceramic and it had this like wood handle. I was like, listen, this feels very mature. It feels very useful. So we did our calculations because I was trying to get rid of cash. First of all, it's such a cashless society. I should have just never gotten any cash. I should have just kept the Korean ones and never traded with that shady dude, which, although he's very shady, I'm very thankful that he did not scam me because I really thought that he was going to give me fake cash and I would just lose all my money. I ended up able to use those money, so I'm assuming they're real because they went through like the little machines. And it was perfectly calculated. I think I only had like 150 or 60 in cash left that I wanted to spend. Because the rest is just freaking Alipay everything. We got like 2 pairs of chopsticks, 1 pair of socks, and then that it's so ridiculously cheap. I saw the same thing, well, something very similar online. It was like $100, but there, 20. I was like, yes. So I got it, and I just opted out of the city mug from Starbucks because I was like, this is a lot more meaningful. This represents Guangzhou. This represents like Cantonese culture because my absolute favorite thing, dim sum, right? Actually is like yum cha, which is like you drink tea. The tradition is like in the morning you go with friends or in the afternoon you go there and you have tea and you eat dim sum and then you catch up and you just have these talks, and that's what I love about, well, partly I love many things about Guangzhou. I love many things about Cantonese cuisine, but that was one thing that I really, really treasured. So I was like, this teapot mug set is it. It summarizes everything that I wanted. So that was my day 2. We wrapped up. We said our goodbyes. It was hard. But then comes day 3. And in my mind, day 3 was kind of like my last chance because day 1 wasted at the airport. Day 2, I was able to do a lot of the things that Brian introduced me to, which was great. But then I didn't really want to film as much as I usually would when I was with him because I feel like when I do that, I divide my attention to filming rather than spending time with the person. So I really got to experience Guangzhou instead of filming it through my lens. And for that, I'm really grateful for him as a tour guide and also just me putting my camera away and just experience the city for what it was. And that's something I've struggled with a lot since I've started YouTube. It's like I feel this urge to wanting to capture these moments when they happen because I don't want to set up something and then film it. It feels less authentic that way. But when I try to film on the go, it also takes me away, takes me out of the moment as well, because I have to be attentive to my camera, or I need to be aware of what kind of mood, what kind of sceneries I want to capture. And because of that, vacations felt like work, like a personal work to me. I don't really get to fully experience Hong Kong. I don't really fully get to experience Guangzhou because I live in this fear of, oh, if I do, I missed out on the shots. Or if I do, I missed this chance of capturing it for the first time. And it makes me sad, and these days I'm a lot more vocal about my emotions too. I feel like I'm a lot more expressive with my words, a lot less restrictive, or like holding back on things I want to say. Because now I just feel like if there's something that I wanted to tell someone else, not like hurtful ways, like gratitude or love, I feel like these days I'm less inhibited to say so. Just like, I just want to say it because who knows what happens tomorrow? Who knows what happens in the next moment, right? What was I talking about? So we said our goodbyes, but day 3 was my crunch day. I was like, okay, today you're on your own and you have to do the best that you could before the before it starts storming. Like, it's not gonna rain. So you need to do as much as you can before the big rain comes. So I'm like, okay, I have to get up really early, and we have to hit all these spots, or as many as possible, on day 3. So on day 3, I got up, I think, around like 6, and I looked outside. It's like by day 2, I learned the best way to predict how the day will unfold is to look up, literally look up. It has been so rainy and so foggy, I couldn't even see the tip of Canton Tower. Like, for most buildings, I could only see up to like 60%. The rest is in the clouds. Like, it looks very mysterious and like moody if you're in the mood, but I was not in the mood. I was in business mode, okay? So that day, I woke up, I went to see the ram statues. That was on my list because it was in my script. So Guangzhou has many nicknames: City of Flowers, City of Rams, City of something else. But I don't remember in my memory of ever seeing the ram statue. So I went to that park, and it was actually a bit of a hike. I thought I could just go there and see it. No, I had to work for it. So I climbed the uphill park. I got to the core of it, found the ram statue, filmed there, then immediately, like that whole day I was just taxiing because I wanted to save time. Normally I would walk or use metro, but I knew the rain was coming. I just didn't know when, and I just wanted to get as much done as possible. Stop saying that, we understand it already. Go to the ram statue, taxi to the next place. It was like a memorial park, or it's called a memorial park, and it was actually a subway station that I spent a lot of my time with, because after I get out of school, I would take the subway to that station, because right next to that station there was a big sports arena, and inside it used to be a training facility, and my dad used to work there. So I spent a lot of time in that arena, and when I went there, it was no longer used as a training facility. It's more so kind of like a public place, but it wasn't open. It was going to be open at 7 p.m. to 10. I think that's when people do their after dinner stroll around the track. So I was only able to film from the gates outside, but I was happy to see it regardless. Then I walked around the arena because I used to spend a lot of times in the alleys surrounding the arena. I remember we used to get like shredded chicken, sesame chicken there. And also there's this milk stand that I went to get bagged milk. So the milk comes in bags, I know. And you could heat them up, you can warm them up in like warm water, or you could just cut a corner of it and then stick a straw in it and just drink it as it is. I was really, 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 really hoping that it would be there. It's a chain, yes, but that specific branch, I was hoping that it would be there, and it was. It was. It was unbelievable. I mean, like the the name is the same, but the I guess the font, yeah, literally the font changed. The stand was still there, so I walked up to the stand and I told her, I was like, "Do you mind if I film?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure. Like, what for?" I was like, I told her, I used to live in Guangzhou in elementary school, and I'm just revisiting after a long time, and I used to buy milk from this stand. She's like, "Oh, okay." So I got like two bags. One was chocolate, one is strawberry. Then I taxied to my next place. I went to the other training facility. It was like a Guangzhou training, like sports team training facility that my dad worked at. And he was a gymnastics coach, so that's why he worked at like different training facilities. Anyways, that one is the big one. I think that one was the currently using the only one that they used for Guangzhou team. So in that training facility, you have like Guangzhou swim team, Guangzhou tennis team, Guangzhou like gymnastic teams, track team, XYZ. That one I could not get into because I mean that wasn't. But I did try to ask. I was like, "Can I look inside?" They're like, "No." So I was like, "Okay." But also the gate has facial recognition, so I couldn't get in even if I wanted to. It was so high tech everywhere. Paying is just QR codes, and then some places like at the Shanghai airport, I went to a vending machine and I wanted to buy something. I couldn't even like pay with the card. It was like pay with your face. I was like, well, my face doesn't exist in China, so I guess I'll stay hungry. But yeah, I went to that training facility. I walked around it, and then actually like right next to it is the Pearl River. So I walked from the training facility to Pearl River. Then I started feeling some raindrops, and I was like, all right, this is coming. Then I taxied to the next place. Where was the next place that I went? I went to another sports. I went to another like a train. I went to another arena from another area. That sports arena was where I used to train. So when I was in elementary school, we have different classes, and then the class ones were like the sports class. So you have to sign up for a sports. It's called like 体育班. So 체육반? Anyways. Eh? Is 체육 like pork or is that PE? Anyways. So I don't remember why, or I don't remember it was my responsibility, but my friends are like track, freaking like swim team. I'm over here with martial arts, okay? So we would train at this arena on Wednesdays. Like I would take a bus, go to this one, and then we'll train there, we'll compete there. So I went to visit that one, and I was trying to look for the door, the exit, where I had a picture of my dad and him holding me, and like at that exit. I couldn't find it, probably because the arena has been renovated. But I walked around, I looped around, and then at that point the rain was really coming, and I had left to go back home. At this time, it was only 10 a.m. So I really sped through Guangzhou in like 4 hours. And then I'm finally getting hungry. So I went to this building. It's called this. I think it's called Civic Building, but that was such a landmark because I remember seeing it from our apartment window when I lived in Guangzhou. But it was so foggy I couldn't even see the top. It was just like the bottom half of it. And I used to go to this McDonald's near this building, and I would get like a kids meal with McSpicy chicken wings, which I need McSpicy chicken wing to be in every single country, please. Please. It's unbeatable. It's better than Korean fried chicken. Anyways, I didn't say anything. You didn't hear anything. And I went there and I was like, wait a minute. I went there because I was hungry and I was looking for the nearest thing, and McDonald's was the nearest thing. So I went there. I was like, wait, this is the place I used to come to when I was a kid. And one of my checklists was to get kids' meal from McDonald's. And I did. And I got like chicken nuggets. And I didn't want to eat too much because I wanted to eat something else later. I wanted to eat like Cantonese food later. I got apple slices, milk. That's right, milk. And milk tastes good. I don't know, motherland milk tastes different. Anyways, maybe I'm biased. Chicken nuggets, and then McSpicy wings. And this other latte that they had, mistake, it was not good. And I got a toy. It wasn't really a toy, it was like card stock. But recently I've been very obsessed with Holly Golly. It's like a board game. I was like, wait a minute, I can use this set of cards to play Holly Golly. So I ate there, and then the rain got so much harder. In fact, I have a video of it, of just me waiting at the exit, because me, amongst many other, were waiting at the exits and just like, when is this rain gonna subside? It didn't for a long time. Here, this is it. Was it? Wait, hold on. Is it this one? Nope. This one was at school. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, right here. Oh my gosh. I think you mostly hear the wind because it was windy and rainy, but I'm just looking at it right now and the raindrops are falling diagonally. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. What is going on here?
If you were to ask me how's my vacation in Guangzhou going to last, and wow, that water is going to overflow. This is how it's going. It's just constantly raining and storming. My shoes got soaked and dry. Now they're about to get soaked again. And I came here to wash my hair, honestly. And my pants. My jeans got soaked yesterday. I can't even wear it.
Yeah, that was how my entire trip went. It was accompanied by raindrops, a symphony of raindrops, and luckily I did. Luckily I went to all the places most of the places that I wanted to go to before 10. So by 10 I could kind of like relax and eat. After that, in the evening, I think I rested a bit. I forgot if I took a nap, but I rested a bit and I went to this book center. It was right next to Guangzhou Public Library. No, that's not right. But it was the biggest book center, like bookstore in Guangzhou. I went there and I absolutely got lost in it. I loved it so much. There were so many books I wanted to buy. Matter of fact, I compiled like a whole mountain of it. And eventually I had to force myself to put most of them back and only keep like 2. One of them was Murphy's Law, and the other one was like something, a guide for the perplexed. So they were both Chinese translated pieces of like English books. I wanted to do it partly because I wanted to sustain my Chinese. Secondly, because it was really interesting read. I love how they would have just like one opened copy and then the rest of them are sealed. I'm very particular about the condition of my books. I like to keep them really like as pristine as possible, but I do make note on them, just not like directly on paper. I use these like very skinny sticky notes on the side, so I would put a sticky note on the line that I really like, and then so on like the side of my book there are lots of like little sticky tabs. Yeah, so they were is this saran wrapped? Maybe not, but they were wrapped, and I was like, I would like to keep them in this condition, please. So I went to that place. Then I went to get some. I went to this grocery stores. Well, there was a grocery store that I frequented. It's called Justco, but it's not called Justco anymore. It has a new name. I forgot what the new name is. I can't pronounce it either. But this is like a Japanese owned franchise, and we would used to go there and get sushi. When I went to that rebranded Justco, and I saw they had this like sushi combo that I used to eat, I almost screamed. I almost screamed. I was like, oh my gosh. So I got it, and then along with other snacks, this lollipop that I liked, some other fruit tea, and then I had ordered like shredded chicken earlier, like a few hours earlier as well. So I'm just like eating, and then by the time I got home, it was around like 7 or 8, I think. And I was just eating, and then with my curtains open, and just looking at the night view. And then in my line of sight, I could see the arena that I visited, where I used to train for martial arts. And I could see people were playing soccer in the storm. So I was enjoying a little bit of free entertainment. And then I think around like 10 or 11, I'm like, okay, let me plan out my last day. So day 4. Day 4 was my birthday. It was the Monday. And I had 3 main goals. 3 main goals. 1, I wanted to see the sunrise. That was the first thing that I had in my mind when I had, I guess, mentally agreed to go on this birthday trip. I wanted to see the sunrise on my birthday. I wanted to get the newspaper on my birthday. And then lastly, I wanted to have my favorite childhood breakfast, which is rice roll and 1,000-year-old egg congee and milk tea and like double skim milk. That was my trifecta of a plan for my birthday. If I don't accomplish anything else, these 3 things needs to be done. And if I can't accomplish all 3 things, I need to see the sunrise. So I went to bed, set multiple alarms. I mean, I already do, but I also had mental alarms. Like, this is the most important thing you will be doing this trip. Wake up before sunrise. And I did. I woke up at around 5, and sunrise was at 6:10. So I'm like, okay, I have time. I checked the taxi. It was going to take about like 10 minutes there. So I got ready and I left at around 5:45. So when I got into the taxi, the sky was still dark, but you could see it kind of like warming up. And my goal was to see the sunrise at the Canton Tower. The Canton Tower wasn't there when I was a kid, but it is now like a landmark of Guangzhou, because Guangzhou is Canton, Canton is Guangzhou. So I got there, and to be honest, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have dropped the pin at the tower. I should have went to the part of Guangzhou that's like across from Canton Tower so I could see the tower clearly. But to be honest, doesn't matter where I was. It was so foggy, you could only see halfway up to Canton Tower. You can't even see the tip. Like, you just see this little tubey thing into the cloud. So I actually was able to take some film photos that day, and I did film a bit. After I color graded, it did look very moody and awesome. But at the moment, I was a bit, sad, frustrated, whatever other words you could muster at the moment. So I'm at the bottom. I'm at the heels of Canton Tower looking up just into this mist. And because it's so misty, so foggy, sunrise, right, in concept is when the sun peaks over the horizon, then that area starts to kind of like, the sky starts to saturate, and then it blooms into this like perfect golden hour into fading into morning. Because it was so foggy, it was like, first of all, I can't see the sun. It was as if a motion sensor light had turned on. Like that whole area just lit up. So I'm like, it's not what I wanted, but I'll take it. So I'm looking at the Canton Tower for a bit. Then I took the APM, which is like their no man automatic subway routes, back to my hotel. And then I went to the same breakfast spots. I had my rice roll, tasted just like it always had been. Thank God. And then the congee, and then the double skim milk. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to eat all three things, but I did, and I was very happy about that. I was people watching, and then I was seeing all these like students going to class, them and their little red little scarf that they have to wear when they were a kid. I wore it too. I still remember how to like tie the knot and everything. Then I I had actually forgotten to get newspaper. When I got back to my hotel, I was like, oh my God, that's the one thing that I missed. But I had no time to mope over that because I had to leave. My flight was at 1 p.m. So I had to get to the airport soon. And I didn't really want to take another taxi up there because it was gonna be a little bit pricey, right? So I was hurrying, and then when I got to the station, I was putting down my handle to pick up the luggage because it was just stairs. And I looked to my left, and there was I don't know how you call it. It was kind of like newspaper stand, but not really. And you don't really see a lot of them anymore. So I was like, huh. I walked up there and I asked him, do you have today's newspaper? And he said, yeah. Which one? I was like, what do you mean which one? There were two different versions. So I was like, well, I'm gonna get both of them. So I asked him how much was it. He was like, 4. So I think it's not even, how much is 4? And it's like a few cents. Let's see. 4 to USD. Bruh, it was like 55 cents. So for both of them. And then he was like, 55 cents. I was like, cool. So I paid him, put it in my backpack, nice and not wrinkly. Then I got on the airport express and I went to, go through everything the way I've been done. And nothing else went wrong on the flight. But something surprising was that I think I'd miss all of this just absolute ass weather that welcomed me. And all the just frantically scrambling to trying to do all the things that I want. And then my last day being like trying to squeeze off those 3 most important tasks before I had to leave. I had kind of forgotten that it was my birthday. Like I knew it was my birthday, but I didn't really internalize the fact that it was my birthday. So when I got on the plane, I was flying Shanghai Airline, but they were like in the partnership with China Eastern. So on the plane, I sat down, and then I guess they were going over like meal. They were going to people with meal restrictions and asking them like, just to confirm, are you like gluten sensitive? Are you lactose intolerant? Blah, blah, blah. And they had stopped by mine, and I was like, oh, am I in trouble? Like, I don't remember filling in anything. They're like, are you Miss Chen? I was like, yes. And it's like, oh, our crew noticed that today was actually your birthday, so we'll give you like a birthday cake after we serve the plain meal. I was like, really? You don't have to do that. And then she's like, no, it's our pleasure. So they gave me my meal, and then after I finished, they gave me like a slice of cake that says happy birthday. And turns out someone else's birthday was on the same day. So they're like, we had to slice your cake in half. Hope that was okay. I was like, no, that's more than okay with me. And they also gave me like this drink that they mixed. They're like, we also mixed this drink for you, blah, blah, blah. Happy birthday again. And then they said some other well wishes, as we tend to do on New Year's. And I was like, I was just like bombarded by love. I was like, what's going on? Thank you. And then the people seated next to me was like a mom and her child. Her kid was like staring at my cake, and I was like, "Oh, would you like to share it together?" And she's like, "Oh no, she's like gluten sensitive. She can't do it." So, but thank you for offering and happy birthday. She's like, "Tell this lady happy birthday." And the kid was like, "Happy birthday." I'm like, "Thank you guys." So that was my flight from Guangzhou to Shanghai. Then from Shanghai to Incheon, it was China Eastern again. Oh my gosh, I'm so allergic to this flight. Like, I know it's not their fault, but I'm just traumatized. So I got on this plane, and then I actually sat on the wrong seat, but I didn't know. So I sat on the wrong seat, and then the flight attendant comes by, and she was like, "Are you Miss Chen?" Not to me, but the row in front of me. And then the person was like, "No." And then I raised my hand. I was like, "I'm Miss Chen." And then she's like, "Oh, you're in the wrong row." I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She's like, "It's okay. So we noticed that today's your birthday." I was like, "This is not happening again." So they didn't give me a cake this time, but they gave me like a different card. They gave me like a, oh, so the last plane, they gave me cake, they gave me drink, and then another flight attendant came by. I don't know if it was like the crew lead or whatever, because it was a different person in the suit. And I got a card. It was like, you should scan the card, the QR code, you can get some like freebies or something. I was like, thank you. Then this time they gave me another card, like a different kind of card. And it was the same thing. It's like, you can scan the QR code for blah, blah, blah. Happy birthday again. I'm like, thank you. They gave me a drink again, the exact same drink. And I'm like, thank you. And I was actually seated next to this world traveler. And her name was Natalie. And then we were talking, and then we were having really good conversations too. So I'm just like, this flight back has been just silky smooth, just beyond my expectations. What the heck is going on? And she's like, "Hey, also happy birthday." I was like, "Thank you." Like, I've gotten so many happy birthdays on my birthday that day. It felt illegal. Like, I was like, what? But, even though it ended on a high note, going into this trip with all like the hiccups and then the weather, like, to be very honest, I was really upset. And I mean, I even written it down. Let me see. This is what I've written down on it. Actually, let me start with the collective one. So the Guangzhou queuing thoughts. With all due respect, Guangzhou's weather is for real so ass. Okay, I don't normally speak like this, but I was just really irritated. And like humid ass too. I woke up thinking it's that's my stomach. That I woke up thinking it's the afternoon because the sky was so gloomy. Now I'm a bit behind schedule. Granted, I did go to bed like 4 a.m. But I'm at this place and they're so busy even at 9 a.m. My wonton noodles and iced milk tea just got here, so bon appetit. Oh, that's cute. Little did I know today's weather, next day. Little did I know today's weather was absolute ass. Let me, I can't say that, but let me be quiet right now. And then day 3. It is not raining at the moment, so I ain't gonna complain. I think I lucked out big time because I was able to knock out the most important spots before the storms swept Guangzhou in a humid storm again. All the while, as I ate a kid's meal in the McDonald's I used to visit as a kid. Okay, now we're moving on to day 4. As for day 4, I'm thankful to be awakened before sunrise, even though I didn't properly go to bed. Oh yeah, I fell asleep half packing. And as an extension of that, though I got up at dawn for the sole purpose of watching the sunrise on my birthday. Wait. What did I just write here? I literally wrote, wait, what did I just write here? Of course, it's unlike how I imagined. Much like how the rest of this trip has been, the sunrise wasn't a singular focus, but the whole sky as if it's motion censored light dimming into existence. I didn't want to put everything here because that would be the purpose of my other dedicated journal. So I'll see you there, and again, happy birthday. What a privilege to be alive. These were my queuing thoughts, but This is what I wrote while I was waiting for the plane. April 8th. You know what's so damn funny? I got up at the butt crack of dawn to see the sunrise. I'm sorry, I meant the fog machine that is Guangzhou's signature weather, and now I'm sitting at the floor of Canton Tower subway station because 8 p.m. line hasn't even opened yet. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this part. If you think this feels like a joke, honestly, it's much better than the storm I've been weathering for the past few days. Before I sped through Guangzhou in a day, so technically this was a much favorable win, all things considered. Though I still feel a lot of regrets or I see areas of improvement, that's just my perfectionism nagging my grateful mind. There is so much to be thankful for. If it weren't for Brian, this trip would have surely sucked more ass than it had already asked. It's odd to say today is my birthday. Maybe it's because I'm traveling alone, but I had received messages from close friends. It just feels normal, and I'm learning to appreciate normalcy much more than before. Perhaps that's my age speaking, but I like to hope it's wisdom. Hmm? Hope for its wisdom? Hmm? There's not much left, or a whole lot left, or a whole lot depending on how you slice it. I hope I won't need to wait too long for rice noodles. I mean, rice rolls, egg tarts, and double skim milk. Don't try to comprehend it, just accept it. There's about 10 minutes or so left before station opens. Maybe I should just blank out and meditate. Let my wired mind go offline for once this trip. It's so hard not to busy myself, but I'm becoming more. I didn't even get to finish. I didn't even get to finish. I didn't even get to finish. Hang on. Where is it? Where is it? I found it because I always carry them together. Here we go. Okay. Whew. April 8th. This is my actual journal. My actual Muji memo notes journal. Okay. Before I write a single word about this trip, if birthday magic exists, I would love to redeem it on the sole wish of a smooth trip home. Because I don't think my resolve is strong enough to endure another 7 hours. 7 hour weather delay. Yes, I'm looking at you, China Eastern. It's a known fact that humans are reasoning creatures, hence the birth of so many philosophies, laws, and idioms alike. Perhaps that's why, despite such soul crushing and mood dampening realities I've traversed in the past 72 hours, 96 if you want to count the delays. Wait, that's not how math works. Wait. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to question it. Had its uncanny purpose. The constant storming was pushing my tolerance to a new level, yes, forcing me to readjust not only my intricate plans, but also my mindset. I owe a big thanks of this trip to my elementary friends for helping me salvage what had seemed pitiful. It is when we are met with nature's course when we come to understand our insignificance and that of our goals or the degree of our mindsets. It would be dramatic to attribute this epiphany to a grander transformation, but I like to believe, as I observed, a shift in my perception. Perhaps the full circle moment I sought to receive unlocked not memories, but the wisdom of acceptance, the ability to find peace in the wasn't meant to be's. That maybe all the weathers and delay and the lack and failure of what I wanted versus what I could actually accomplish was meant to happen. And life unfolded as it as life unfolded exactly the way it should have. So yeah, like this, going through the trip itself, I really was upset. Like not how could this happen, because it was actively happening, but what was I supposed to do? Like, there's nothing I could do to remedy the situation. I can't make the rain stop. I can't make the weather not humid. I can't make the skies not gloomy. But my time has already been invested. Like, I booked a ticket here. I booked my accommodations. I'm here, but what can I do? And I think what I've learned is, yeah, you there isn't much that you can change about the situation. You just have to change your mindset about it. And my elementary friends saying of Laido Lailama, like we're already here, might as well, make the most out of what we can and just move on instead of dwelling in what I cannot change. And I feel like a big part of my personality and something I still struggle with is I ruminate in regrets. It's like I wish I've done this. I wish things could have panned out differently, but it's just a waste of energy. It's good to be reflective, but only to a certain extent. The more reflections I have, it's like what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna be stuck in an infinity of just not even I'm just gonna be stuck in reflections within reflections within. It's like you put a mirror to a mirror. It's that I'm just trapped in that state. So nowadays I'm trying to be more, and I've also met people who are more just like, accept that it happened and move on. So that was, I guess, like a new ability. I don't want to say that I've unlocked. I've had it in some instances, but now it's more like approaching it more intentionally now and approaching other things that could unfold that happened or is happening with this mindset rather than the other mindset to save not only my energy but just for like the sake of the trip, the purpose of your journey, your time, whatever. And that was like a big epiphany, a takeaway that I had from this trip, I think. Other than the things I've hauled back, which is like 4 books, a teacup set, some postcards. I also got some like snacks. I don't want to call them, they're like more like baked goods from Guangzhou to share with my coworkers. Some lollipop, I think that's it, right? So, some small trinkets for my coworkers. But like, other than that's the most valuable lesson and a reminder of a really good friendship. I think, and the memories, like revisiting the old and learning about the new, just that sense of, I don't know how to tell you everything about how I feel in just one sentence, but I think it ended up being the trip that I needed, but not in the way that I thought I needed it. I still like to think everything happens for a reason, right? Whether you see it from a religious standpoint or just overall in the life experience standpoint. I think everything panned out exactly the way it should. I've met people whom I was supposed to meet, and I hope the decisions I made were the decisions that I was supposed to make up until this point. So it was definitely a bittersweet moment. Can't believe I've aged, technically speaking, scientifically speaking. But it's been a good run thus far. I may not agree or see every stage of my life equally, but I am regardless very grateful for everything that has led to this point panning out exactly the way that it did. I still have regrets, normally, and I still ruminate in them from time to time. But I think this year, a big thing is last year I really wish to be living a fuller life. And so far it's only been 4 months, but honestly I felt so full, like not only just like my calendar wise. I've socialized so much more and I've had so much more experiences this year. I felt alive till now. And that was not something I was actively feeling the year before. And I can't believe this was my goal for the entirety of 2024. And I can't believe it's April and I've already done it. And it feels kind of weird to beat your deadline for once because I'm usually just, diamonds are made under pressure. Like that was my motto in college, which is not really good. But I'm like, wow, I've done it. Now what? Right? What's next for me? What is my next goal? What do I keep doing? And funny thing is, I've actually written a letter last year at like a time capsule cafe to be sent to me on my birthday, but it never came. So I think I messed up. Either I messed up with my address or the post office lost them. But I like to think that I messed up on the address because that's something that I did. So I contributed to this. I think if it was the other way around, it would have bothered me for a lot longer. However, Julie had some foresight, and I always take pictures of most of the things that I write for memory's sake. And also sometimes I write down when I write things, I don't really plan for it. Or I think this comes after me writing so actively. Just kind of let my subconscious wander. And sometimes I say some really good things. And I'm like, Julie, not bad. But I had taken a picture of the letter that I wrote last year, and I vividly remember it was May 13. So I'm going to read it to you. I've already read it twice and cried once. The math is not mathing, but just trust. Here we go. Oh dear. May 13th, 2023, Seoul. A part of me hopes wherever I'm at when you're reading this, I'll be at a better place, both physically and mentally. Not just in the sense of a better apartment complex, which hopefully not because you won't be seeing this, or achieving some nirvana. I just hope you're happy being the person that you are. Maybe you have a bigger vinyl collection now, were they impulsive purchase or albums worth having? How's your YouTube channel? Has more people heard of the stories you want to tell? How's your relationship? Have you guys continued to find new ways to love each other? How's Uni? Is she still 5.15 kilogram or has she beefed up from the naps she's taking every day? Have you finally planned that trip to Hong Kong? This was last year in May, so yes, I did. Or gone to snowboarding once more because you both enjoyed so much? Yes, I've done that as well. Are you still a trainer? No, hell no. How far along are you with your loans? You know I'm always proud of you for paying consistently, right? I'm sure next year's Julie would bear better news for us too. Remember that goal of paying everything off before 30? I'm sure you can do it, like you have been doing so well. I have so many questions to ask, partly due to curiosity, partly and mostly due to the fact that I hope you're living, fully living like you've been wanting to. Yeah, fully living like you've been wanting to. You and I are responsible for the soul we share, and the life we cultivate is a reflection, or should be a reflection of that. The big 30 is right around the corner, but no pressure. The only goal there is the goal of paying off that hefty loans and finally be financially free. I've been thinking lately that we should at least travel once internationally or nearby each year to take advantage of our youth and location. I hope you continue to tell your stories. Don't let that passion die. And call mom or your loved ones. Be intentional with your energy, your close circles. Venture out. Learn the nooks and crannies of Korea. Keep reading, keep writing. How many Muji passport memo books do you have now? I think about like 6. I can't wait to read them all. A year isn't a long time. In fact, almost half of this year have passed. I feel I haven't accomplished much, and I'm hoping to change that. And you did 2 series back to back. For the last wish, I forgot to wish, but only remember last minute after lighting the candle 3 times. I wish you're living the greatest story you've always wanted to preach. That was my letter to me, supposedly. And yesterday when I was reading it to Taro, I cried. But when I read it first, I didn't. Oh, big stretch. But I think that was another full circle moment that I had. Oh my gosh, it's 2:30. I did have more I wanted to tell you about my adventure on a holiday this week, but I think I'll save that for next time because it was a chaotic day as well. But yeah, I know this is probably really, really long. I think we're pushing 2 hours. I think this is the longest we've ever been. Thank you for listening to the 82nd or 81st podcast of Lactose Intolerant. Listening to my trip back to the motherland, back to my hometown, a place that was very special to me. I hope you're able to take some time out of your busy life and to revisit some of the precious memories that you have before they fade into oblivion. I hope you are also reconnecting with some of the friends you had as a child and reconnecting to see, what they're up to now and how they're doing in life. I think, the people we meet are special for a reason. And whether it's for a lesson or for a season, don't be afraid to reach out to them. Because what are the chances that they wanted to reach out to you too? Say the things that you feel from the bottom of your heart. Do the things that you're passionate about. Explore. Don't be afraid. Whenever is your birthday, I hope you're able to spend it meaningfully. It doesn't have to be very extravagant. You don't have to travel. Just do the things that you want, and don't forget to reflect back on who you were a year before, because in the midst of everything that you're trying to juggle, you probably don't see your progress, but I assure you that you have accomplished much comparing to last year, and you are a different person, and we are proud of you for the journeys you've been through. And why is my stuff? We ate. So why are you making noises? Also, I think I have a healthier relationship with food these days. I don't really eat for the fear of being hungry. I eat just enough to feel sustained. And I think that's a big change from how I previously viewed food. And I hope you're able to cultivate a healthy relationship with your work life, your family members, your friends, and yourself, most importantly. I think I've becoming a lot more introspective lately, and I'm reading a lot about, just understanding my mental space, understanding who I am. I think it's a long time coming, but I'm glad that I'm doing that now. I feel like I could finally be a master of myself, a master of my time, and a master of my mind. Julie, that's good. I gotta come back and write that down. But anyways, it's late, and wherever you are, whether it's morning or night, good morning or good evening or good night, have a great week. It's technically Monday for me. Take care of yourself, exercise, sleep well, absorb enough sunlight, breathe some fresh air, and exercise as much as you can. Thank you for listening. I will see you next week. Yeah. Oh, I got a haircut today too. Anyways, bye. Bye.